Hey, how you doing? Steve Beauchamp here, and welcome to the next episode here in my channel. Call it a podcast, call it a monologue. I don't know if it's officially a podcast until I interview somebody. I don't know if that's true. Um, Maybe not. Maybe you can just have monologues that are podcasts. Maybe that's true. Um, in any case, welcome. Thanks for coming back. So today, want to continue exploring the topic of ikigai and learning a little bit more about what that means. And so um I think the title of today kind of helps set the tone for what we're going to talk about, and it's all about being in tune with your authentic self. Yeah. And so, well, what does that mean? Um, well, when I think about authentic self and authenticity, it's like it's real. It's not some kind of facade. There's nothing fake about it. It's really you. So when you think about authentic self, it's when it boils down to it, at the end of the day, this is who you are. And who you are is made up of a lot of things, right? It can be uh, anything from um, the hobbies that you have. It can be the roles that you serve in your life, the things that you find, joy in, like volunteering at, or just, you're being whatever you are in your family, whether that's like the head of your house, or maybe you don't have a big family and it's just you, and that's just kind of how you define your role. Maybe you have a lot of friends. That's also a part of like your authentic self. You've probably heard people say, like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, right? And the reason for that is when you think about the people you surround yourself with and the people that you spend the most time with, a lot of times they're going to help shape who you are. And so there's a lot of truth in that. Yeah. And it's like the five I think they've like done some kind of research perhaps on this, but I've heard it said that, if you look at the top five people that you spend the most time with, um, and you really kind of unpack who those people are, what they stand for, what standing for it means, where they're heading, all of those things, it can give you a really good glimpse into yourself. So that's what I think about when I think about authentic self and authenticity. And so there's a few things I want to touch on today. And I want to start off the conversation talking a little bit about why it's important to be in tune in order to find success. And success is probably not going to be in the context that you're used to hearing. Stumbling over my words today, sorry about that. The second thing I want to talk about is lost passion, or lost, what do you call it, like those things that you used to do that you don't do anymore, right? So like those lost, and the things like you used to be passionate about. We're gonna talk about that. And then I also want to talk about, hobbies and activities a little bit at the end. So let's jump in. So why is it important to be in tune with your authentic self? Well, for obvious reasons, I think off the top, if you're not in tune with your authentic self, then you're likely not going to be real happy with yourself. You're likely going to be just kind of floating through life. You're not going to be really connected to those around you. You're, probably not going to be very excited about life in general. You're not going to have a kind of like a good like reason to get up in the morning, right? So you're just going to be like, it's just not going to be it's not going to be pleasant to be around you probably. And I think why it's important to be real in tune with who you are, I touched on a little bit, is I believe that's where you find success, and not in the context that you're used to hearing about success, right? So a lot of times you hear about success as people being like really wealthy, or they have all of these like fancy cars and big ass houses and all of that shit. That's not what I'm talking about when I talk about success. When I talk about success, I'm thinking about this from the context of like feeling like you are successfully living your life from that place of authenticity. So, and I'll add, this has absolutely nothing to do with being an expert at anything. This has everything to do with being in tune with yourself, understanding what it is that brings you joy, understanding what it is that takes your joy away. Really being in tune with the things that matter to you, the things that you find meaning in. And I believe that when we live from that place and we allow everything in our lives to flow from that place, I've personally found that my life, it's taken on such a different context. It feels different. It feels, like every day that I wake up, I'm excited to wake up, which may sound weird to some people given the fact that I wake up at, around 4:30 a.m. every day. But that's part of my routine. I get up early. I enjoy getting up early. Nothing else is moving at that time of day. And there's something about being able to watch the sunrise that just brings me so much joy. I think it's about like gratitude for the fact that I have another day to live, and that I'm able to see the sunrise, and that I'm able to see the, things around me come to life after being dormant all night. So yeah, I think that's success for me, like being able to get up in the morning, being able to enjoy my tea or coffee, depending on what kind of day I'm having, or wanting to have, rather. Typically, I start my day off with tea. I find it's just a great way to start my day, because it's not about like trying to hit the ground running necessarily. It's about, again, wanting to embrace the moment. Yeah. There's a saying in the Japanese language, and it goes like ichigo ichie. And when you look at the meaning of what that means, it's kind of gets interpreted as, finding the uniqueness of a moment, and appreciating that uniqueness. So it's, it's, think about it this way. So there's if you've ever stood by a river or a creek, okay, and the water that's flowing past you, it will never be the same water that flows past you, right? Because it's constantly flowing from somewhere. Even if you tried to scoop some of it up and dump it back in and watch it come. It's going to be mixed with the water that's already coming. Yeah. So it's kind of like, think about that, and then think about every moment of your life kind of like that, where moments will come and go. And it's about being able to appreciate those moments. And I think when you are living from your authentic self, you're able to have a much easier time, really being able to appreciate those moments. So if this was resonating with you, if you like what you're listening to, if this is things that you want to learn more about and listen to, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel. This is what I talk about around here. I talk about Japanese philosophy and wisdom, and apply that to our lives, both in a personal and a professional sense. And yeah, so if you want to subscribe and listen more often, I would encourage you to do that, and I'd be grateful if you would. So thank you. So I talked a little bit about lost passion. So I want to ask you a question. So when you think about your life, and you think about all of the different things you've done up until this point, no matter how old you are, it doesn't matter. There's probably at least one thing that you used to do that you really, really found joy in. Like, it was something that, man, it didn't matter if it was raining, snowing, sleeting, 100 degrees, minus 40, doesn't matter. It would be, well, maybe not minus 40. But it wouldn't matter like what was going on. You would be down to go and do that thing, right? Like, you just loved it so much. All of us, I would imagine, have some of those things where we used to find a lot of joy in those things, and for whatever reason we've decided to lay it off to the side and not do it anymore. It doesn't matter what the reason is. That's not what we're talking about. What I'm talking about is there's probably something, right? And the reason why I'm bringing that up is, if you really stop and thought about it, don't you think that that's part of your authentic self, is living in such a way that you find extreme joy in the things that you're doing? And it doesn't matter how big it is. It can be really small, right? It can be as small as having a cup of coffee, or eating a chocolate, or petting your dog or your cat. Doesn't have to be really big. It can be really small, but you can find joy, and you can find like those, moments where you're just really in tune with yourself. Yeah. And I think that those passions flow from who we are authentically. And so I'm going to just challenge you and encourage you that if there is something that you think of, like right off the top of your head, you're like, man, there is this thing that I used to do that I really love doing, and I stopped doing it, and I can't figure out why. Right? Maybe you're like me and you love gardening, and you stopped gardening a long time ago. Like for me, I used to have, a long time ago, I used to have a bonsai tree, and for whatever reason, it died. I know the reason why, but it died, and I had to throw it away, and I was really sad. And then for whatever reason, I just never got another one, never tried to figure out what happened. But I decided to revisit that passion, that thing that brought me joy. And now I have two new bonsai trees, and both of them are doing very well. And so, yeah, it doesn't, am I an expert at tending to these trees? Hell no. I'm still learning a lot. I'm hopeful that they won't die. And I'm, trying to learn as much as I can so that they don't. Um, but I'm going to make mistakes, and that's okay. That's the whole part of life. I don't have to be perfect at something or an expert at something to find joy in it. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to make here, is that just because, you may have stopped doing it because maybe you weren't really good at it. And it's like, I don't want to do this thing, I'm no good at it. That's not going to bring me any joy. But that's not necessarily true. So um so yeah, drop a like or a dislike, or a comment. If this is something you're just like, man, what in the hell are you talking about? I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and drop a comment, and I would appreciate it. But I'm gonna be yeah, I'm gonna be real honest. I think that when I reflect on my hobbies and I think about the things that I really enjoy doing, um, it's climbing. I absolutely love climbing and being outside, being out in the backcountry, spending, a few days and nights sleeping out in the middle of nowhere. I find that really awesome and really amazing. Now, you may not, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. And quite frankly, I know I am not, the very best at climbing mountains, and I don't have to be in order to find joy in it. But the thing about climbing that's interesting to me is I used to climb a lot when I was younger, and I stopped climbing around, let's see, like 23 or 4, something like that. Yeah, 23 or 24 is when I stopped climbing. And then, I stopped because of a person. A person wasn't really good reasons behind why I stopped, but that was the reason why. And I think that if you're going to do something or not do something because of somebody else, you have to be real careful to know if that's going against your authentic self, right? Because what I found personally is I stopped climbing for about 15 years. And I was, I didn't know it, okay? But I was actually pretty miserable on the inside because I wasn't doing that, because I wasn't able to get out and do those things in the outdoors. And so I rediscovered that at a later time in life, and I can tell you definitively that I will not stop climbing now until my body tells me it's time to stop, because it brings me so much joy. And so anyway, if any of this is like hitting you and you're just like, man, I've been there, I have some of those things, but you're not totally sure on how you can go about discovering your ikigai, I would encourage you to go check out my website. There's a link in the show notes. There should be a link on the channel page as well, but go check it out. Go learn a little bit more about what ikigai is, and yeah, if I can help you to find your ikigai, I would love to be able to have the opportunity to do that. It is part of my coaching program as well that I have. The coaching program I have is called the Obvious Route. And there's more information about that on the website too, so go check it out. Anyway, I am so honored and grateful that you joined me today. I hope this was of value to you, and I hope that it resonated with you. And I hope that your day is going amazing and that you have a nice, bright tomorrow. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you.